Hello and welcome. My name is Martin, and today we're going to be covering how to move from level to level. Now that we have our health bar and our enemies are able to cause damage to us, we can now create two conditions in our video game. One condition, well, the other one, the one would be that we would be able to respawn in the level that we're currently in. Obviously now, because we have the health bar and we can take damage. The other condition we could have created at any time, which was to create a trigger box, sort of like an end of point game when you reach the end of wherever your level is, sort of like Mario hitting the flag at the end of the level and saying, okay, now I get to move from this level to another level. So with that, let's go ahead and start. What we want to do is go ahead and click on project 6. Let's right click on that and say copy, and we're going to click in here and hit paste. Okay, once that's in there, we're going to right click on this and we're going to call it project 7. Oops, project 7 underscore levels. Okay, and let's double click in there and do the same thing for this. So let's go ahead and rename this and call it project 7 underscore levels. Okay, so with that done, let's go ahead and double click in this and open up the project and start creating the functionality that we need. Okay, so in here, the first thing we need to do is go to our first person blueprint. Let's double click there and go into blueprints folder and double click the first person character. From here, we'll already see a lot of code that's already there for our character and some that we've added ourselves. So there's the take damage and the health bar. I like to put the code for the respawning of the health bar damage next to the health bar so I know where related code is together. So let's right click in the empty space and type in event tick. Now what an event tick is it will be looking for a particular event or a particular variable all the time. Now these are good except for the fact that it will slow your game down if you have too many of them working at one time, so do try to limit the number of ticks that you're using. So off the tick we're going to click branch because we want this to be a conditional statement. So once we've set up the branch, we need the conditional statement to be looking at the health bar. So we're going to type this in as an integer. You can type in the word integer and then look for the less than sign, or you can actually just type in the less than sign. Just make sure that you select the integer node. Once you've selected the integer node, the top value is actually going to be the current health, so whatever your current health is. So let's grab an instance of current health from variables, and in this case we need to get what the current health value is, and we'll drag that into the top node for the less than value. From there it will create this node, and if you read what the message is it's telling you that if there is a point or a decimal value that is created, it will round it up to the closest whole number. From there we need to type in the number 1 on the second or on the B part of the less than variable, and what this is saying basically is that if the current health is less than 1, then we're going to get this the true condition. Off the true condition, we need to type in sequence, since there are actually a few things that we want this to do. Sequence. There we go. And double click. And the first thing we obviously needed to do is to destroy the character itself. So we're going to type in destroy actor, and that will make sure that when the health bar gets to 0, our character is destroyed, or our first person character is destroyed. And then from there we need to actually respawn, so we're going to type in open level. Now from there it is going to open a level, but it doesn't know which one to open, and what it will be doing is looking at the names of the levels that are available. So we need to type in the name here. But because this is actually attached to the first person character, we don't want to put just level 1 here, because if we type in level 1 there, if we're on level 2 or on level 3 and we die, it'll respawn us back in level 1. So what we need to do is create a variable. So let's come over here to the left hand side underneath variables and type in add. Let's go ahead and call this current level. current level. And we need this to be a name variable since what our function is going to be looking for is a name. So let's type in, let's grab current level. We need to get the current level, and let's connect this to the name. So basically this piece of code now says constantly keep checking to see if this condition is true. If current health is above 1, don't do anything, be false. If it is less than 1, then we want you to first destroy the character, then reopen a level, and that level should be whatever current level we're in. So let's go ahead and hit compile and save. Now that's just half of the equation. That's what we need to do to the first person character, and this will essentially allow him to respawn in any number of levels that we're in. From there, we actually need to go into the map for the level that we're in and write a condition for when the character is destroyed to respawn that character. So let's go into maps. This is the current map that we're in. So since we haven't created a map yet, we're going to be in first person example map. And from there, we want to go into the level blueprint for this map. So in order to do that, we're going to come up to blueprints, scroll down until you see open level blueprint, click there, and this is now the blueprint for this particular level. So for every level that you have, you will have to recreate this code for it. Otherwise, once the character gets destroyed, they will not respawn. So let's go ahead and type in event since we're looking for an event. Event begin play. So this condition will start working from the beginning of the from when we start playing the video game. From there, we need to cast this event to the first person player, or to the first person character. The character itself will be the get player, if I could spell, player character, so that way it knows what to respawn. And from here, we now need to tell it what level we want it to respawn to. So in this case, we're going to type out and type in set current, there it is, set current level. Now this will be the variable from the get player, so then that way it knows what it needs to re-level. So let's go ahead and type in that, or double click on it to select it. From there, we want the first person character to be the target of the re-level, and we now need to tell it what level we want it to respawn in. Right now it's none, so if we left it blank, we would not get a respawn. This level happens to be called first person example level, so let's just slightly open that up, hit Control C to copy, or if you can remember how to type that in, you can come here, and now let's delete none, type in first person example map, and let's hit compile and save. So at this point, we should respawn after our character has, after the health bar has reached 0. So let's push play and let's see if this is what actually takes place. So I'm going to walk into my area and wait for my health to go down. If it works, we will respawn at the start point. If it doesn't, it'll boot us out of the game. And it started us back at the respawn point. So this is now working correctly. Yay. All right. From there, what we want to do now is we want to get this set up for the different levels, right? So we've created now the what happens if my character dies condition, or if the health bar goes down to 0. We now need to create the win condition, which is getting to or proceeding to the next level. Now the way we're going to do this is we're actually going to need to create a few levels. So let's go ahead and go to Content First Person BP Map, and let's right click on the first person map and hit duplicate. Here we're going to call this level 1. And before we make the duplication for level 2, we're going to head and change a couple of things in our area, so then that way when we make our copy for 2, we'll have to do less work. First thing that I want to do is I actually want to grab my first person character and move them so that they can actually see this writing here in the front. Now the reason I'm doing this is so then that way when I move from level 1 to level 2, I will be able to know that I'm in a different level because it will actually say it's in a different level. So I'm going to click on the A for the text, and I'm going to look for where the text box is, and here I'm going to type in level 1. Right? So then that way when we respawn and we start playing, we'll know that we are in level 1. From there, I'm going to actually add a couple of boxes. I'm going to add a trigger box. I'm going to move these boxes out of the way. Yours may be in a different position, so don't worry about it. But I want to have an area back here that once my character gets through the level of bad guys, there will be a box to trigger him to send him to the next level. So for this, we're going to go and grab a basic cube. Honestly, I have no idea why my cube keeps doing this, but your cube should end up like a 1 by 1 by 1 cube. From there, we're going to flatten it out and turn it into a platform. So let me just kind of flatten that out. And let's expand both the X and the Z axis. And all this is really doing for us is being a visual cue that we have actually gotten to the trigger box. So once that's there, I'm going to go now to basic. I'm going to look for box trigger, and I'm going to place that over the red square. And I need to size this a little bit bigger because remember, if we're this needs to overlap with our character. So if the box is too small, the character won't actually run into it. So you need to have it large enough so then that way as the character walks through the box, it will actually be triggered. So now with that box selected, let me see if I can get back to where that box is. Not the platform. There we go. So now with the trigger box selected, we want to go back to blueprint, so the blueprint level, and we're going to open blueprint for the level. And we're going to write a piece of code that's actually very similar to this one, but it's going to be on an event collision. Now, since we have the trigger box selected, if we were to right click in this area, you will see that there is now add event for trigger box. If you went to your blueprint level editor and you did not have the trigger box selected, these options would not be there. So go back if it's not there, make sure that the trigger box itself is selected, that you have it selected, and then go back to the editor and click add event on trigger box. We want this to be a collision, and we want this to be an add-on actor begin overlap. Okay, so this is going to be the event that is going to trigger us into the next level. So very much like the one up here, we're going to click off of the execute. We want this to go to cast to first person character. Okay, the character needs to be the get character player. So let's go ahead and do that again. So get player character. So it knows which character to send to the next level. And from here, what we need to do is actually tell it to open up the next level. So let's click out of there, type in open level. And here we're actually going to type in level 2. Since if we're in the level 1, we want to go to level 2. Now level 2 hasn't been created as a map yet, but we can go ahead and leave that there as level 2. So now we're saying when our character triggers this box, we want the character itself to go to the next level. Let's hit compile and save. And at this point, we should have everything that we need to duplicate for our second level. We have the word level 1. We have the character starting where it can see something different so that you know that you're actually in a different level. And then we have a mesh box down there that is acting as a visual cue to where our trigger box will be. And we have the code both for the trigger box and for the character to pass. All right, so now before we start, because we obviously don't have the next level to go into, we're going to make a duplicate copy of the level. So we're going to go to contents, first person BP or blueprint, maps, and we're going to click on level 1, duplicate it, and by default it should go ahead and call it level 2. If for whatever reason it does not, make sure that there are distinct names for level 1 and level 2. Now, we happen to be in level 1, so let's double click into level 2. It's asking us to save all the changes we made to level 1, and now we happen to be in level 2. So level 2 looks like it does not have... Okay, so that was a boo-boo. Do you want to save changes? You want to delete? Okay. And let's see if I actually made all my changes. I made all my changes to the wrong map. That's okay. Let's go and delete map level 1, map level 2, and I'm going to duplicate this level and call it level 1. And let's duplicate that again as level 2. So it should automatically rename that as level 2. Now everything should be correct. So if I double click into level 1, we should be in level 1. It should say level 1. Okay, and we have our trigger box, which would be sending us to level 2. Now we need to double click into our level 2. And for this trigger box, we want it to send us back to level 1, and we also need to identify that this is level 2. So I'm going to click on the text. I'm going to click there and type in level 2, so I know that this is level 2. And now I'm going to go to the blueprint, so open level blueprint for the level itself. And in this case, I want this to send me back to level 1. So once we've changed that, let's hit compile, save, and close. And I'm going to start on level 1 and see now push play. So we push play, we happen to be in level 1. Let's see if I can get past these guys quickly. And once I hit the trigger box, I should now be in level 2. Okay, let's check to see if level 2 is working correctly. And it is. We are back in level 1. So now that we're back in level 1, we can go ahead and check to see if our... There we go. Let's see if it will respawn me in level 1 from taking a lot of damage from apparently one of these. The other one doesn't see me. There it goes. That'll make it go a little bit faster. Okay, so my health bar is going down, and I should respawn in level 1, which is the current level that I'm in. Fantastic. Now let's go to level 2. Let's see if this does the same thing. So we're going to respawn in level 2, and we're going to now see if these characters, or when I die, or when my health bar reaches 0, it will send me to the respawn for level 2. If it does, everything's working correctly. Okay, no, and it sent me back to level 1. All right, so something is wrong in the code. All right, so let's see what's going on with our first-person character, because that's where the respawn for the current level is. So in level 1, let's see, open the blueprint editor, and level 1 would respawn us. See, it respawned us into first-person map because we did not make that change. So we happen to be in level 1. Let's go ahead and name this level 1. And we will have to do the same thing for level 2. So we'll save that, compile and save. And now let's go into level 2, go into its blueprint editor, and the same thing happens. So let's knock this out and type this in as level 2. So if you're in level 2, you should respawn into level 2. If you're in level 1, you should now respawn into level 1. So let's go ahead and go back to level 1, push play. Let's get our health bar back down to 0. Okay. And if this works correctly, we should be in level 1. And we are. Let's go to level 2. Same thing. Let's get them both to attack us. Okay. Health bar is going down. And we should respawn into level 2. All right, we did. Fantastic. Okay. So that is now how you get from one level to another level and how you respawn.